government should strengthen its protection of intellectual property rights and copyright by curtailing the United States military's right to contract commercial software and data. The advantage is Putin. He's revisionist. Absent pushback, he'll seek expansion beyond Ukraine. Coffin, Putin railed against U.S. raiding view Russia's wars, partly battle with us. Putin more committed than ever to confrontation, ultimately directs our litigate Cold War. We can use another new international system more hard, resolve narrow options of transform society, economy, and policy. Seeing such a competition is intensify Russia likely will away. And Bolton's planning for another fight, and a possibility of another war leads to Russia and Europe remains challengeable. Western competition now hallmark of a reoriented Russian economy around war defense spending set to reach high point Ukraine. Made it impossible to build ties with West. For instance, for my necessity is in the position to sustain long-term competition with the U.S. Kremlin. Got all in having abandoned caution racing reconstitution combated by lackluster response European production and insufficient Europe cannot execute LU support. Moscow already waging unconventional war. Russian actors set fire in Germany and UK. Tamper the law to push migrants to Poland and Finland, targeted railway infrastructure, assassinate the factor in arms manufacturer. Moscow plotting to degrade the West ranges nuclear doctrine lower threshold for use to ship the Kremlin, calculating Europe not capable of victory in Moscow. Turkey Ninja's eastern flank imperative for U.S. is to make sure Moscow never tries Ukraine, exposing gap between West rhetoric and commitment, also limits military capacity on Moscow, enabled officially ceasefire on all of Ukraine and Burkina Faso, Niger, sending arms to Sudan and prolonging civil war. Lots of wars to use absence of Western action, cause of resisting aggression will rise burden of deterrence, not going to lighten Russian ambitions, not going another wars likely ignoring Russia loud. Threats to grow. Math proves capillary 24. Analysis value of condensation and language of Kremlin combined with word embedding with time series on model to look at political speeches post-Cold War trend and increasing condensations in Russian discourse and rhetoric more negative towards Western countries and revision strategies, increasing multipolarity, decreasing Russia's position, emphasizing Russia's center of the world, balance between pragmatic interests and ideologically loaded constructs, not lost matrix warrants Russia and worse encouraging engagement with multi-layered nature of the LAO condensation. Russia continues to identify as weakened for challenging LAO. Saying nothing is supporting someone. Who do you wish to support? Bushwick 23. Writings in Western academia deny subjectivity and sovereignty, resulting in opinions of academics and platforms that amplify Russian propaganda, laundered as anthropological knowledge, and their scholars not going to be assert doctrine and history further cooperating within the colonizing forces. History will not judge propaganda slightly, and neither should our discipline want scholars at every level of influence to focus on reality that evil has come to them, and saying nothing is providing support. Who do you wish to support? Empathy entails more than silent witness. It's time to meet the moment to play. Intellects imaginatively to discern threats. Condemning the West embraces a racist colonial logic that assumes Eastern Europeans are backwards and not able to understand their own history. Instead, embrace local knowledge and unequivocally reject Russian chauvinism. Bushwick 23. Continuity of colonial thinking. Instead of acknowledging elements of experience, Russian war sharpens rupture, deepens divisions, make hierarchies more explicit, and analysis surrender to passive West blaming, patronizing position, expressive claims about backwards Eastern Europeans not able to understand their countries, lack basic knowledge about their region, also mean perceiving world exclusively the West, latter seen in facile accusations against U.S. of seeking the invasion. Local scholars find commentary harmful, introducing false assumptions, West blaming, strengthens boundaries, actual people in Eastern Europe as well as Russian chauvinism do not exist for left-wing intellectuals in the West. Instead of obsessed with NATO imperialism, a large part of Western left should admit completely messed up in its response to the Ukrainian crisis. Expansion goes nuclear. Kalisa 18. Once conflict was underway, the fog of war and unpredictability would inevitably set Russian theory exploit weak points and alliance of Russia. Some threats of escalation could be effective. It would push boundaries to try to exploit divisions. Any conflict would have an intervention for escalation control. Their range of options for Russian use of nuclear shot could be lethal. Detonation could be aimed via effect relying on escalation control. Might be misleading. Russian NATO conflict would be leapfrog escalation. Russophobia starts and ends at zero. Putin's been heard loud and clear. Even absent global war, expansion locks in genocide. 23. There is no attempt to represent Russian perspective. However, what perspective remains unarticulated? Russian perspective is to make sure imperialism lies violence, criminal outlet, call for destruction of Ukrainian identity, language, state and people. Russia does speak clear. Perspective is vocal and expressing bombing, shooting, rocketing, killing, kidnapping, and famine. Care about ostracizing Russian and anti-Russian rhetoric. Shows no empathy towards Ukrainian perspective. If the U.S. can project strength, it will deter Russia from considering expansion. Guys, 23. This behavior of Russia's military agreement consistent throughout centuries, and Russia's consistent history of seeking stability throughout expanding at one motivation is reduce thoughts of down to the aspiration as offensive. However, tried to expand persisted even in the absence of perceptible threat and following the Second World War and Cold War, another pattern readiness to solve one resistance and counter one held one counter much push on to seal pull back. Russia consistently acted by this should have avoided through demonstrations of strength. If Russia achieves objectives, patterns that suggest that it will continue. Putin weakness is more provocative than strength, efficiencies, and conventional power. Present imitation and weakness provokes readiness deterrence. Russia perceives assertiveness for the purpose of deterrence is not escalatory. Giles 23. Distinction must be drawn between force against Russians and strength against force and contributing. Lines doses of pain provide effective deterrent, but Russia not regard a sort of action for deterrence as provocative, but consider normal part of interaction for following no unacceptable deterrence, dangerous premise with a notion. Western states choose whether they enter conflict with Russia, false premise to avoid escalations, counterproductive, since more confident leadership is more likely they engage in activities short of war. A strong DIB deters. Jones 23. Same order to pay for to over-continuing threats. Russian military needs to be prepared, capable as a credible deterrent, deterrents without allies, preventing adversaries from taking action by making action, by making action, deterrents by punishments, preventing adversaries from taking action by imposing severe costs. In both cases, a strong base is critical, but the DIB is down. Brothers in Bunch 24. The DIB leaving U.S. unable to respond to conflicts, recently in preparation. A fight with adversary occurred. New report from data company finds production capacity is stripped out of shadow of its former. It's alarming, but is an unexpected problem. Problem gotten worse. That's because of the lack of new entrants. Serbia 23. DIB strengthened latest report suggests new entrants are enough to offset firms leaving. And the latest figure showed markets suffer net loss of 30 companies. Industrial base planning for year declines, driven by companies deciding not to do business with DoD. Firms aren't entering because of the threat of DoD acquisition. DoD IP acquisition. Shibashi 22. GPM loan rates not suited modern software is here with talent investment in companies implicit threat of underperformance or raise prices. Government source code to another vendor takes software without paying original creator to source competition less provided. Opt out of contracts not work without clear path to production when development is expensive or price receive cycles are expected to recoup significant time and money. Profit margins high, supercharges competition investment for companies to give away rights separate and breaks that cycle and slows innovation to a halt after date type. The app creates a flexible category of data rights, assuaging contractor fears and preventing DoD overreach. Shiboshi 22. To bring down to bear on security, the DoD new data rights account for size of respective investments, allow contract creator data rights to find to open the dealer to specific program pays rather than paragraph for any use and track rate range of vendors and obtain sufficient rights to prevent vendor lock or require adherence to interrupt standards EAB system and possible allowed vendors all contracts. Consider costs and benefits and may offer less favorable rights such as consider other benefits. Consider impact of data rights framework on cost value vendor locked in. Protecting IP entices new firms to contract. That's C24. Business peers lose IP conduit business choose on contract to leave a department without new tech. Protecting IP rights fosters innovation, attracts suppliers, new suppliers to DIB, and putting them private sector IP rights safeguards department's interests. Department should not disfavor IP rights align with commercial market. New contracts galvanize every vector of the DIB. Brown 24. More signal suppliers of new contract signal. We need more production capacity. We must prepare for digital transformation in the background, buying more production initials. Fastest way to expand our digital base provide market demand signal. Suppliers investing more capacity. NATO calls the war is a blatant misread of history. Bremer 23. Claim we use provoke Russia method. Soviet guaranteed buffers and declassified transcripts. So Gorbachev denied and the West committed to anything about expanded beyond Germany. CE demanded to join to protect from aggression despite objections from NATO and the Ukrainian people not Washington to try. Membership its goals and enlargement of proposed military threat and 1997 founding act reflected a strictly defensive nature. Putin expressed no concerns about enlargement. Membership never realistic for Ukraine. Died after 2014. Putin doesn't think Ukraine right to exist. Repeatedly told force aim and so recreate Russian Empire and deprives Eastern Europeans of agency, reproducing coloniality at the level of scholarship. Handle 23. Are Russia threatened by NATO's protection of coloniality, deprives of agency, East Russia increased security due to destructive experience with Russian imperialism. Their sour to stop NATO shows privilege and critique avoided propositions on how to ensure safety is harmful and consider colonial and critical IR scholarship. The Western left us to understand Ukraine specific experiences with socialist transformation, critique of imperialism relies on Soviet as egalitarian exclusion of knowledge production of societies colonized. I'm good for cross.
I want to start with your bullshit evidence. How did the
which one?
The local knowledge one. How did
just a little bit louder?
Yeah. How did the 1EC embrace local knowledge?
Embrace local knowledge. Well, the argument that the Bushwick card is making is not necessarily that the 1EC is actively fighting against, some individual scholar who has flawed assumptions about Russia. The argument is more that we should prioritize the perspectives of Eastern Europeans. A lot of our authors are Eastern European. My family is Polish and would have been affected by it if my mother was still in Poland. We think that that type of experience should be valued because Western IR scholars tend to have a misreading of the
So like every Western IR reading of Russia?
I mean, not every Western IR, but we've read a lot of good cards that says the scholarly field and the scholars that are participating in these debates tend to have flawed assumptions. So we think that the 1EC is a way to correct against
What are some examples of flawed assumptions?
Flawed assumptions. Evan, you want to take this?
Yeah, the idea that NATO caused the invasion, the idea that instead of trying to deter Putin, we should try to capitulate to him.
Well, so
a few
do you think NATO had zero connection to Russia's war in Ukraine?
That's what our Bremer evidence says. Yes.
The Bremer card says it was certainly not the motivation for invasion. Russia is determined to wipe out Ukrainian identity, and that is the motivation for the war.
I want to talk about.
There's no reasonable justification for them on the basis of NATO or Ukraine.
The Jones card. It says the plan to do things like deterrence by denial and deterrence by punishment. What is deterrence by punishment?
Deterrence by punishment is when we send a credible signal of deterrence and adversaries are deterred from taking action against us because they think that we'll retaliate or be able to deter them.
So it's like the U.S. posture of deterrence by punishment, we'll literally nuke you if you cross the red line? Or
I don't think that's what the card is saying. First of all, it's not literally about nuking states. It's more about the signal that first the U.S. can respond if needed, whatever form that
respond
takes.
how?
Evan.
with a flexible defense industrial base that provides like enough new software, enough munitions, etc., to be able to send a signal to Putin that if he attempted to go beyond Ukraine or even continue the war in
To be
Ukraine.
clear, that signal is still like new tech, weapons, and stuff, right?
Well, no.
Yes, but
the
our
brown card also
yeah.
says that this increases the entire DIB by investing into a certain part of it. It spills over because other like suppliers see that
Okay.
we're investing more into it.
I want
and
to talk
they
about
will
that
want to
actually.
join
Your
as well.
Rotherman bunch card says that the DIB has been on a drastic decline since 2013. So what's the brink? Like, why
Yeah,
hasn't
well,
Russia?
we think it's a linear impact. Obviously, we cannot determine exactly when our adversaries will choose to escalate or choose to take aggressive action against
Yeah,
the
but
US.
it's been 12 years.
Yeah, Russia invaded Ukraine. Like,
You think that
they have begun to take action. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, let's talk about the like you've read a bunch of cards saying NATO and stuff like that, and so what card do you think you read saying that NATO and Europe can't deter Russia now, like external to the
Can't
US?
deter Russia now? I'm confused.
Like there's
I
other
don't know why that's
countries
like-
and other
The Kaufman
institutions that-
evidence provides a uniqueness claim that says we're not sufficiently deterring the status quo, and that it's on the shoulders of the U.S. to try to fix that.
It's the sixth thing is
Give me a second to grab a pen.
Give me a sec to download.
yep.
We're good.
What's good?
Are you good?
我们支持美国消除无限的和正负无敌的传力。
The counterplane solves the case and translates the plain standard English to Chinese speech model. 92 representation of the word in English for Chinese Americans determine less assumptions which will literally difference assimilated by adopting the regular screening the impression that identifying the American perceives themselves to dimension their effort images of their objects vision English back language otherwise correct. I think identity in linguistic orientism scream understood linguistic exposing linguistic reduction substitution English indicators and alienness of higher Chinese American identity. Chinese pigeon exposes and alters standard English that excludes difference. Anything else magnifies psychic cruelty and alienations or cultural shame out. A little work that focuses on Asian Americans use the language to describe dominant American discourse performed a prior tendency to alter with means to inventing the language to represent Asian Americans against English to sound standard English is only language which is lies on distribution difference creates a space to reassert identity speech settings performed to force more material constantly displays. Power that exists between cultures, even if they're right next off. IR is mining epistemology, white sovereignty that sustains itself by discursively rendering racialized bodies non-human. The one you see is part and parcel with the invocation of semiotic security creates death zones, international. 24 IR continues to allow race folks to practice actions to dynamic ways understood as subjects of discourse that regular by topic is regular a condition of relation under which awareness is made sovereign over non-awareness is true construction difference racial awareness control with US some different imagine higher groups the domination of the community to regulation race racial such reproduction with only other though actions adopt discourse the demonstrate close to imagine by ideal involves perception of difference racialization of the foreign representation of representation of the mature context people as exotic evolve bring order to ensure that everything is kept in its proper place not all and international order racial across all countries to allow the North historical argument over on no particular formation in a specific hierarchy of minus the most advanced spirit. The alternative is to engage a hermeneutical suspicion and categorically reject whiteness at every turn. Spartan 21 to meter reimagine IR study viral demons and also in the D center. Both grow epistemological situation when it requires an awareness and it's a contrast to your situation of oneness of loyalty to humanity. The research on good powers would be possible to expect after embrace internal diversity. All pressures being formed by hermeneutic suspicion. The absence of this theory will continue to go even if the right next up. When he sees must use the teacher process, when he sees valid academics without personal experience or performance of organic intellectuals or religious or eventually 23 the teacher's method regarding personal experience or organic intellectual experience or overlap on expertise exclude thoughts material impacted by policy personal experience offered to view the consequences of the implicate by people. Vote neg first access expertism crowds out students of color appear access debates benefits. Second is incapacity researching intellectual property stands to research ensures distancing which includes politics to rid the community of those affected even if the I'm going to write next off. I wish to inform you of a counterplan which is mutually exclusive, solves case, and has a net benefit which outweighs. It is present neither in our speech nor the 1C document, but we promise to send you the counterplan after you vote negative for Northview. Your immediate response to your appreciate to 19 have got a proposition for you. I ask you just to end more cons about deceiving hoaxes, prevention, bad faith for the benefit of the hoaxer, that's associated with the scam to open and create possibilities for just authenticity, ideal, or substantive nature, exceptions for victory against Germany, Western Czech, IP, which is Korea, Chinese culture, which is Chinese literary revolution for by hoax, the Chinese literary impersonation, the end of real songs, the voice of authentic hoaxes, reconsidered authentic culture prediction, century for origins, confused aesthetic form of the Chinese characters, half value display, and authentic, even it's right next off declaration. Over intellectual property values the universality principle limits the innate right to freedom. Russia 22 properties of honor which I'm so connected that I was using without my consent or wrong notice lot type possession and other objects not the claims to individuals to claim the right to objects that goes beyond the innate right to possession does not create the right because of the declaration about the universality of action or license all other things must pertain. Free means not unilaterally limiting the freedom. Vote negative, prefer conscience ethics, Hong 23 defense conscience ethics, theory provide clear and all participants because this principle derived from the respect to other people though. Other theories place value in desire such happiness, but the reason why we choose value is because the value ourselves conscious as to offer ethical to the clear that I should consider considers maximus behind action, the action lasts more with the agent chooses something out of desire because the self-serving half value when a sense of duty source of the into the source of the basis for our theory should be preserved by moral principles applicable in all situations maximum comes universal, even at the right next stop. The plan entrenches capitalist growth, the DIP militarizes foreign policy, administrating millions and embroiling the globe into forever all in the name of Passion Marshall. 20 defense profits or the pledge abilities behind militarized foreign policy firms, finance, and research and arguing for intervention. Their allies steer the finance capitals, the industry become the weapons as the industry become the honest as U.S. finance for everyone as the bitter lies of our own law, emasculating Americans a whole. The only way to nationalist is such which is disconnect profit policy to redirect investment charts, R&D civilian enhance transparency and allow accountability leverage is absent as bed dependence on U.S. weapons used as demonstration to restrain the networks between private firms and officials can either mobilize resources, the proliferation of weapons against your answer is profit the linkages go to their professions committed to military defense contractors or merchants of nuclear war. One funny question: the defense systems before to the contractors that expended to go to the production of more nuclear war. One to expand the arms control danger, then reimagine nuclear arms or supernova, the military industrial complex is dismantled, the only trade disorder, all the nuclear war with the expedition contrast is dangerous of race, maybe risk of its calculation, rate nuclear arms, service of defense, dismantling arms control, the first step to expedite contracts, and paying off Congress, insurance, defense contracts to get the business as long as there's an appearance of this capitalism will build more weapons, people the new weapons, also destruction amongst Russian, China, encourage risk accident, institutional, the military, industrial complex, having free reign of the U.S. government. Capitalism causing cascading and systematic risk, culminating in extinction. Number 23, human extinction living is driven by intertwining threads linking capitalism around destruction, climate change, pandemics, about versus nuclear lower emission, the conflict with capital action, threatening and elite minority. We need eco-socialism to survive means moving beyond capitalism. Escape has been a miracle. Capitalism created world unsustainable growth. Though capitalism protects military expand beyond its resource-based markets, protect investments using state spending to increase profits in military export to produce nuclear, biochemical, and cyber war. All this systematic intensify the extension nation to show the climate change, the driver war, and causing climate change. Vote negative in favor of organizing a united revolution against capitalism. Peterson 23 communists are strong through climate disasters, war, labor strikes, and the instability caused transformed the entire generation of Dutch to define a way out. Recent polls reveal John Seaton military in favor of the communism. Millions seeing this after the defeat of the limit displays in terms of class race strengths, force of lesson known as despair, ability to spontaneous revolution are not enough. Organization can find ourselves isolated, so harness energy to revolution should come out. We must come out with the bulls. Reducing capitalism welfare organization we need starting with understandable communism and socialist revolution rupture the property relations the economy must be public and plain never coded communism must super but we must have urgency removing private influence subjects defense and rigorous democratic and public controls while maintaining capable military war 20 less militarized policy necessary ultimate structural economies transition public oversight could democratize policy sovereignty profit the domestic consistent that can dismantle the currents and never think of the U.S. and constant war the industry can be open to wider trends like redirecting the budgets of hospitals decent chance defense good incentivize civilian defense private profit militarizing policy to educate invest in social programs attribute the corporation the risk of political severe market as well as bureaucracies pushes to make it into deeper public takeover the defense is necessary crisis labor at the cost of underinvestment halt and welfare nationalized sector advance realistic situation at the same time radical reorganization case. Innovationists urging that any existing hurdles are inevitable conduct at all 24 distinctions based on defense startups US is the leverage commercial drive directing to structures and now largely considered non-traditional companies driving innovation attracting significant UV funding the partly due to steps to attract to access commercial text and new access to budgeting for example the DIU the rapid industry from any very absurd VC investment is tech copies to build the defense firms struggles are likely to just reach out a little bit access to classified firms can sort of launch precise problems can shape out unfilled defense markets required to cause government affairs and untreated unique procedure starts like a tracker if programs for workers which can be a requirement office as a typical return for flood powerful markets only going to fill the gap though given emphasis on short-term results in defense bases as emphasizing stable cross adverse at risk. When you see Jones concedes numerous old causes the blank cannot solve. When you see Jones through U.S. absolute reality conditions war will continue to work armor war will likely require long reach of disrupt the DD science contracts ships airplanes to not them contracts from the nations to company work with significant politics and rare earth metals DD funds to China metals lead time of 8.4 years to place MVP inventory Putin does not see To expand his influence, Legion at all 24 put his head will fight to the evidence of extreme experiment war in Ukraine and other countries now. We have no interest in Poland, Latvia, or any gross Russian leadership to be negotiation, make an agreement. No Russian war incursion. 18, his theory has little basis, both sides conjecture the tension, the military, the balance is stable to isolation, highly critical cause of tension, non-military, political tensions remain, high likelihood of competition remain low, because there's a posture, force, intention to go offensive tensions remain, and mere intentions. Predictions of Russia failed. Wall 24, Western foreign policy leader mind raises Putin's attention playing factors. None is no Putin, Russia for the war in Ukraine as possible. Ambition not to expand beyond what Russia has one belief that Putin's unlimited ambition. Rest on the liberal can now occur any of the aggressive difficult to say this article faith, but there's little evidence to support the fact that Putin's ruthless nothing about whether he wants to conquer the Russian never believes you able to do so. Russia no longer be shaped with large bunch of wars of aggression when Ukraine is finally delivered fighting the conventional wars costly stumbling another movie even more full with their country's original intention loss. Just as likely the Russian difficulty in Ukraine.
Okay. Are you getting that card?
Yeah, it's marked out.
Get to it. Just get it during class. If you want to.
No, it's fine.
Okay. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's actually talk about that last card you read. The first part of it talked about like Western IR scholars. The 1AC has read a lot of scholarship from Eastern Europeans who are obviously more proximately related to the conflict. Why do you think this card thinks
Well, the general predictive claims still apply, right? Because the card says that we don't know what Putin is thinking, and IR scholars in general try to project their own logical conclusions of what Putin would do if they were Putin, which is obviously not how
why
Putin
is that
thinks.
true? Can you contextualize that to any 1AC author?
What do you mean? Like the 1AC
You
said that
said
Putin...
that our authors are essentially projecting what they would do if they were Putin.
Yeah,
Can you substantiate that with some specificity?
The entire 1AC was that Putin wants to expand. He's revisionist. He cited a bunch of things that say that. And that he's going to, so we need the plan to deter. We've read cards that say we can't predict what Putin is going to do, because even if he wins the war in Ukraine, that's not what he's thinking.
Let's move on to the CAPK. The 1AC has read cards saying Russia specifically sees deterrence as non-escalatory. What is the impact of the first link about militarized foreign policy?
Jerry?
Yeah, so we're not going for a link of like the plan emboldens Russia, but emboldening the DIB in general and defense contractors, things like weapons or cards is that they're merchants of nuclear war, and the production of these in general.
So what is the actual impact of that? Like, who are we going to nuclear war with?
Like everyone.
Everyone? Where's
anyone the DIB sees as a threat.
It says potential for nuclear war. It does not cite any single adversary. I'm confused why you think this is an impact. This is an assertion.
No, it's literally political scientists citing empirics saying that the DIB, if it continues expanding, will front nuclear wars over Russia.
Okay, sure. How does it solve the app?
So two things. The Peterson evidence indicates that it will be united revolution against capitalism, which does like a communist revolution, right? But the second part is this more evidence says that would maintain a capable military, which is still able to stop Russian aggression.
How does it maintain a capable military when we read evidence that the DIB is key and you read DIB links?
Yeah, instead of doing like contracted commercial tech through like capitalist ways, more evidence indicates it would redirect funds towards civilian defense, which is, it says is sufficient.
Civilian defense, what is that?
It lists a couple things. It says like we have health and welfare programs for people in the U.S., things like that. Ensure that nobody would die in the war.
Wait, okay. You think that Russia launches a nuke and a health and welfare program is going to save everyone in the U.S.?
It also nationalizes.
That is your solution.
It nationalizes U.S. military while maintaining effective deterrent capacity. Because it changes
those are two separate assertions. Why does Jerry, I have a question. Why does nationalization maintain an effective signal?
Because it turns the MIC's main incentive of profit towards well-being and stopping aggression.
Yes, but you're not answering my question. How does that send a credible signal of deterrence?
Yeah, because it still maintains all of our nuclear weapons, but the only thing it does is change our incentive away from profit.
Okay, you read a link about militarized foreign policy in general, so I don't know how that makes sense. But, okay.
Start now. 7:35.
Wait, is it 10 or 8 minutes?
We've been using 10 alternative. Is that fine? It's sent. Is everyone good for an order? The advantage, then 3-tier, Kant, scammers, linguistics, the IRK, the CAPK.
I'm good.
Okay. Cool. Northview good?
One second.
Sure. The app revitalizes the DIB by allowing contracting firms to retain access to their IP, shoring up against collapse. That's the Jones evidence. The impact is nuclear war from Russian expansion. The revisionist imperial power held on expansion of the heroic NATO in the war that escalates absent deterrence. That's Coffin, Giles, and Jones. Extinction comes first. It concludes the possibility for trillions of future lives. Always on magnitude and irreversibility, vacancy, handing possibility with ethics. Risk is magnitude times probability. Anything else is regressive and prioritizes some lies over others, which is the very logic that they critique. Will concede the Klemter claim that public markets fail on their uniqueness card, which takes out the CAPK out. But yes, DIB is down. Their card is about the 2010 Brotherton Bunch is a government study that's the most authoritative and predictive. AF solves all causes. That's Brown contracts. Catalyze everything in the DIB. Now, Russia's revisionists. A transformation. Putin's refocused Russian society on more power. That's the Coffin evidence. B fracturing. He's decoupled from relationships with the US and other countries in Europe. C empirics. Unconventional war in Europe and sub-Saharan Africa. D math. Analysis of rhetoric proves Putin's eschewing norms in favor of Russian expansion. That's incupillary evidence. Refer this to a one-off statement in their card about Poland. Now, the Charmatson evidence says the reason there's no war is because Russia doesn't have, quote, heightened readiness. That's false in 2025, which is our Coffin evidence, T3 tier. Reject non-resolutional TRs or infinite.
Answer the predictions failed.
Oh yeah, predictions about Russia don't fail. Our evidence is based on deterrence analysis and quotes from direct from like Putin and Lenin and other people in Russia, which means that it's obviously authoritative. Also based on like math and quantitative predictions as well. T3. Reject non-resolutional TRs are infinite, unpredictable tweaks to the activity that can slightly improve its quality, collapse, and debate. It doesn't solve because we don't have to be one EC. Any understanding of debate is one-to-one action, press of the plan. It's naive. How the benefits come from education and class. We embody one EC. Nuke war would be bad for our personal experience. And we cite a bunch of local scholars that we've been impacted by. If our one EC was not enough in the embodiment, their standards is arbitrary. But also collapse debate and make return impossible. It expose limits. Have so hundreds of debaters in each subset of their personal experience, even if there is ground negative, cannot negate someone's personal strategy. Fiat is good. It ensures superior politics. That forward proposal to help us understand violence out there. Their model distances from no access, currents, and clash are key to it because they ensure an equitable playing ground, and no interpassivity. Distancing is good, friends, identity negation, or performance negation. The Kant said. No link, the app is Kantian. It protects people's private property, IPR rights, anything else. It allows tests of ideas, which is anti-Kant. It doesn't increase the scope of IPR either, which is what their link is about. Counter theorization actions must be derived by utilitarian ethics. One value, everyone thinks suffering is bad and well-being is good. Any framework, and it's universalized under there, is veil of ignorance. The only way to correct biases is to act as an impartial observer, and compassion, past atrocities, were built on valuing lives differently from one another. Only our useful friends those, but the green light genocide, for weighability, only consequentialism. It says degrees of wrongness. You can explain why breaking a promise to take a dying person in the hospital is worse than breaking a promise to meet for lunch by appealing the consequences. Kant triggers permissibility. Maxims can be infinitely refined with qualifiers and conditional statements, which collapses it. The scammer's coming. It's a massive double term with the contest had about promises, but prone to both, prone to the counterplan. We wish to inform you of a permutation that solves and has a net benefit that outweighs, as well as being completely theoretically legitimate. Counterplans without explicit text or a voting issue makes it impossible to respond. Western IP good is key to empower contractors, which is on the case. The linguistics counterplan. Permanent to the counterplan is the way the plan can be done. The textual plan isn't the text in the bill, not textually competitive. Percy 12 official documents written by the US always include English adjacent CPs. Plus, do textually and functionally competitive. Textual competition sucks, allows picks out of infinite words and generating random offense killing half ground. But if they win, their offense can cover the words rather than one EC. Then they don't solve because they haven't performed the same epistemic rejection of Russia that we did. Permanent both is best and maximizes the linguistic divide. Otherwise, forcing the plan to be in a specific language cements binaries, causing blowback and more violence. Permanent each non-Chinese people shouldn't code switch. It's parasitic. The IRK. Kondo causes time-skewed argumentative irresponsibility, which kills fairness in education, reject the team. They can take over your returns to a theory of philosopher. Flex and innovation framework where that plan and its scholarship taking away links to offense intrinsic to advantages and solvency. One, fairness, the cadence of one, which is unpredictable, and kills offense out of ways are intestined into, and unfairness is why their impacts are bad. Two, clash, contestation is the intrinsic of the debate, attending the one is the still avoiding discussion, vacant is folly. Three, academic silence, you link, you lose, scares Eastern European debaters in the science and justifies Russian global dominance. Lewis 24, some argue Western universities are complicit in hierarchies in which individuals not produce. This was in their mainstream debate in Russia, Germany, written Eurasianist and nationalist self-identifies neither Asian or European, Nicodemus or essentialist Dutch dominance on the Russian context. Epistemological imperialism by rejecting Russia seeks to unlearn the West has been used to Dutch exception in Ukraine today's authoritarianism, constraining and analysis of Russian thinking become evil parallels between colonialism, Eurasianism, common part in critical debate to colonialism. It's fast evolving but allows for debate and is pro-reversal of Eurasianism touched on any particular crownless power. That causes psychological violence for Polish debaters. Fiat is a coping mechanism that's solved. This is also a link term back knowledge 24. Students' reaction to violent acts, students reveal anxiety, PTSD, distrust, negative affective state to attacks, examine relationship between how students cope with the Ukraine war and emotional reaction, participants from 16 countries that directly involved, problem focused, strategies positively affected Russian health, helpful in dealing with depression, anxiety, and stress of Polish students. Turn to both embrace decolonial reading by folding in the rejection of Russian imperialism. Cash 23. Encourage academics to debate things experiences of science concerning Russia's colonial practices. They should be analyzed while decolonized and concerning Western legacies, anthropologists or not. Yet discloses the same inappropriateness when it comes to Russian imperialism. Perfcon is a VI, hypocrisy that magnifies lines and forces double turns at which words we get to several reps, which circumvents all their even if statements. The links are to the scroll, not solved by the firm. Brown makes a sweeping claim about IR, no link because we only focus on the theory vis-a-vis Russia. They're also intrinsically violent. One, West-planning. They assume Eastern European knowledge is backward, which is self-centers the West. That's a Dukash evidence. Two, science. Not explicitly condemning Putin is complicit in genocide. Also, Dukash. Three, propaganda. Their scholarship is corrupted by Kremlin lies. Also, Dukash. Four, scope. We should forego theory of power debates when analyzing Russia. Dukash 23. Truth is couching when one relies on global generalization of regional context as determined in the grand political theories and global narratives and path of value. We should rely on experiences of people more than grand theories. Epidemic fiat brings the VI, infinite potential actors of fiat dodges live face, and is infinitely aggressive. The all fails. One out there precludes challenging Russia, allowing mass imperialism, imperial expansion that triggers our impact. Go to the cafe. Cross-supply framework, perm to both. If the all can overcome the scroll, can overcome the AF. No link, AF solve defense monopolies, which is while all their offenses about Puzzle 24 contracts consolidated to obscure price couching number, strength, market committee, continue concentrating power, consolidation, help contractors overbuild between hundreds of million on a single program, 40%, and excess profit. Links start to the scroll and munitions with the DAB, not software. AF solves. Co-op caps global crisis, then improves sustainability. Cap is good, A deterrent, salt snaps America's capacity to respond to conflicts. Global war, B space, called competent T space, home station is realistic. There's probability strategies will change towards C growth and long-term perspective, survival, P growth is problematic construction of economic activity with eliminate progress and energy, which reduces the probability of space colonization. All future generations, high well-being of people to colonize. Caps sustainable, Northern 25. Sustainability, previous studies overlook CSD, lead inefficient estimates, bias and solutions, true path, flexibility, escape, advantages, allow for breakdown of various factors, IPAC, quantify environmental impact, and core ratio, tasks, right? Mathematical structure, EQC holds relevance as the country experiences growth, emissions decline, environmentally, destructive effects diminished, and studies, statistical tests examined. Variables, CSD is assessed, results include there is a co-integrated relationship, prevents economies, prevents minority, to develop cleaner tech through trade tech can be transferred, enabling them to reduce pollution, confirming EQC exists, and ordinance, effectively device estimation. The alt fails, A, the app, it doesn't the plan, making your impacts inevitable. Otherwise, filling pixel fairness, that's a voting issue. B, that is zero support, causing fascist crackdowns and masturbation without solving their impacts. Well, 23, anti-cap revolution, no party is such chance of giving power only could only by a global dictator that is unrealistic. It would require reversal of all welfare, devastating well-being, political stability, pre-industrial world with undernourishment, and starvation. Radical alternative is dystopian top-down control. Will never know whatever is in everyone's head. Market just incentives. C causes violence for Eastern European debaters. That's a handle card. The critique of the DIB is wrong because our Jones evidence says robust DIB is key to deterrence. They have no causal link to why the DIB itself causes war, why the DIB itself causes war globally, or it's to defense monopolies, which the AF definitely solves. They also have no evidence that those defense monopolies would be used to expand anywhere or grow outward, which means that there's no way that they can get this impact. The Derber evidence, if they try to go for the cap causes war stuff, also taken out by the Jones evidence as well as the Giles evidence, which says that deterrence is good. Anything else?
No impact to the links. There's no external conflict besides Russia, and we've won that deterrence against Russia is specifically good. Deterrence against Russia is definitely good. They don't have any other escalation scenarios. If they try to make them, we get answers in the way.
You good? You good?
Yeah.
Alright, reasons to reject.
Condo, floating picks, epistemic fiat, counterplans without explicit texts, floating picks.
Yeah, okay. Alright, I want to talk about value. Everybody thinks suffering is good and suffering is bad and well-being is good. What is suffering?
What do you mean? What is
What is
suffering? In the context of what?
Well, no, you
What-
said
yeah,
you
okay.
said everybody
Suffering-
agrees suffering is bad. What is
Suffering would be like psychological or physical pain.
Yeah, how do you determine that?
What do you mean?
Like, how do you determine if something is suffering?
If someone is in pain, then they're suffering.
Okay, and if they like enjoy pain?
Then I guess they're not suffering.
Okay, so how can this be like something that everybody agrees is bad?
Well, if someone enjoys pain, then they're not suffering.
Yeah, like everyone can
What?
agree suffering is bad. People don't have to agree on what suffering is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Extinction is probably suffering.
Okay, sure. I want to talk about weighability. Why is this key for an ethical system?
What do you mean?
Like you said, weighability is
Yeah.
good. Like, why is this?
Okay, yeah, like degrees of wrongness is key. Under Kant, there would be no difference. We said there would be no difference between like breaking a promise to take a dying person to the hospital and like breaking a promise for meeting for lunch. We think that one is obviously worse than the other because it causes someone to die, whereas the other just causes
Okay, sure.
someone to miss
So
your presence at
under
lunch.
utilitarianism, is doing a wrong action alright if we cancel it out by doing something else that is like net beneficial?
That doesn't make sense because, like, no, the wrong action is wrong.
The wrong
In the
action
first
is
place.
the wrong
I
action is
think
intrinsically wrong.
you phrase
right?
this question weirdly. I don't understand if you're talking about two actions where like someone does something wrong and then right, and then it's like, oh, they
Okay,
can't
so
stop. Or one action that might have some negative effects
Okay.
and some positive effects.
Okay, I'll give you like a
Which one is
hypothetical one, right? So like there's this kid being bullied and the bulliers enjoy the action of bullying. The kid is obviously doesn't like it, but like the pleasure experienced by the bulliers outweighs the pain experienced by the bullied kid. Is this acceptable under utilitarianism?
We don't think that the pleasure experienced by the bullies would
Okay,
ever
well,
outweigh.
we just add infinite bullies until the pleasure does outweigh. Is this acceptable now?
That's completely unrealistic.
Well, no, this is a hypothetical, right?
We think that it's a different degree of pain. Like the pain
does
of
that
being
mean?
bullied would always outweigh.
So the bullying is intrinsically bad, yeah?
Like, sure, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there's
That's not mutually exclusive with utilitarianism.
okay. I want to talk about the IRK actually. This Racconello card you've read that says fiat is a coping mechanism. I guess where in this card do you think it says anything about fiat, scenario planning, anything like that?
Problem-focused strategies
How is
positively
that
affect
fiat?
mental health.
How is problem-focused strategies intrinsic to fiat?
The identify the problem and identify the strategy to solve that problem.
Yeah, correct. And why
Which
can
is
we
exactly
do?
what this says.
Why can we not do that without fiat? Like, how is this a link term?
Because we think that like the affirmation of that scholarship is key.
Okay,
I'm
so, like-
confused at your question.
Yeah, sure.
10 minutes. Sorry.
Did you go with both of this
The order is the white sovereignty K, the cap K, and then the advantage.
And then what?
The advantage.
Okay.
Don't have it yet.
Me neither.
I got it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
One second. Sorry. Okay. Yep.
Concede the perm-pass combination, no X-side challenge. We're not going for you link, you lose, because we're not going for this K. You can defend core subjects, which will be below. We're also not going for a K of Russia, since the Toes can't be offense. Since answer psychic bonds, they can weigh the app and defend political strategies. The no-lick arguments are irrelevant, because we're not going for a Russia K. No silence, like we can recognize Russia is bad, while thinking capitalism is bad. The K. Capitalism unleashes intertwined risks, all extension. One is climate warming, pollution, biodiversity, class, companionship, non-linear thresholds. Two is war, breeds incessant militarism that guarantees escalation, and is the root cause of global war. Three is diseases arising from outdated health systems and lax regulations. Fourth is future tech, innovation on chemical balance, weapons, cause cascading system failure, culminating extinction, necessary evidence, framework, valid competing, political machinaries. That means we can negate both consequences and ideological assumptions behind the one to see. One is responsibility. They chose the app's ideological leanings and should defend them. Any else endorses lazy research, which Bloom's only value to debate. Two is arbitrariness. Their to boost all by 8 seconds to one C unpredictably, shifting the focus of the debate. Three is capitalism imagination to decide, reject app, monopoly over free apps power. If capitalism's war imagination, regarding the economics of the purpose of imagination, doesn't any generous competition, transformation, broken down, no war imagination, corporate logic, then twisting exhibition on the one every, escape to closer, false, economic social system by child marks of virtual world, humanity, original progress of artists, limited growth, attack, new self review of progress, limited fortune, the order of portion, new capital, our sensibility, reply straight. Fourth is negative flexibility, topics unlimited trademark class, are even with 0% net ground, and they speak first last, and can break new creative links are key to keep us in the game. Fifth is critical discourse to stand, questioning what sees core assumptions, and encourage critical and creative capitalist logic. Right on 19 is duty, no scholars rate 6 on the issue, because we teams are able to understand you need to understand how IT respond to sharing on core assumptions, relation data for how much of the concentration should be taken in, discourse not say, discuss among academics, how some accumulation should be also bring different perspectives, otherwise the whole planet is found a catastrophe. 6 is no offense, they get app choice, can weigh the app, infinite pattern, first last speech, and the cap is a perennial generic that has been around for decades. Permutation to both fails. One is framework, if we win it, you should elevate competition based on competing sets of power relations, not unique op costs. That means no perfect win. A link, rational consequence analysis, is neoliberal logic. Second is links, they distribute desirability of the app. 3 is orthogonality, the plan quote curtails the military's rights to contractor data, rolling out nationalizes and seizes it. Those are opposite actions. The plan reduces the government's role in the DIB while the alt increases it. That's totally incoherent. It can permitting ban the plan. Second is the BI for argument for responsibility education, no double blind. The plan isn't in the direction of the status quo as per their inherency. Remember, they said the DIB is crumbling now. The plan revitalizes. They resurrect a key barrier to transition. The links are linear, dispatch of the case. Owens explicit that stockpiling more weapons upset strategic stability, enhancing the risk of accidental war. The Ghetto evidence is not a no-link argument. We never said monopolies. It's a link to the expansion of the DIB in general, which I'll do later. The link also isn't to the status quo because they said they revitalize DIB as per above, and the alt provides uniqueness. The link is clear. Expansion of the DIB through commercial contracts entrenches capitalist growth. The plan is viewed as an encouragement by the government to increase the production, which requires consumption, all causing more exploitation of the environment. Brown explicitly says it's a capitalist signal for more production. It's also an upsignal march towards nuclear annihilation. Neoliberalism's profit motive creates creating defense contractors are merchants of war, dismantling arms control, and leads to a dangerous climb up the escalation ladder. All while firms sit back and sell more weapons. Turns case contractors finance think tanks, pay off hungry people, and plan so-called experts advocate for hawkish foreign policy, regardless of hegemonies, desirability. Defense firms advocate for overly aggressive policy, attracting American first success. More turns case. Constitution verse 1. Nuclear beating US Russia's living there, 6 billion people could all chance. Spark Russian fears will lose second cycle increasing. Instead of start first to affect their capabilities through their outbreak of flexible. Nuclear weapon Russia's abilities to Putin see that anything any NATO capabilities for sure. Glass was reduced, unable to match combined terrain. Cap good was done above. They have 0 card for war. Prefer evidence over assertions by high scores for impact on the space while causing extinction. Cover 21 the prior history of the new citizen. ICC given a history session. And evidence space called original conflict all wars that in Russia. There's a great close to every war while the weak constitute. System aggressive close by trying also achieve its reason. Russia close to creates of institutional led by psychopathic elite that is just civilization of the extinction of consequence of civilization as for seven creates the identities and given future weapons and conflict will be some astronomical scale they indestructible means immense disvalue. There's no impact Snyder beating 19 the track record intelligence public from and cost of 1,800 data link device and given amounts of consistent with million temporal range frequency of currencies. Capitalism is sustainable. One is thermodynamics. All 24. Dynamics don't have a constant span that foundation works to reduce costs of reducing market more research ensure for short-term fixes domestic demands and capital. Green innovation is philosophy and entropy always names device use only force kind of nature energy limits to mental health comes to faster logic capable growth oriented economies increasing extra deficit with the shorter reach shall before solution preserve growth emissions device realize the production or carry low entry about the growth the economy traps and food attempts decouple growth because of the rate of fiscal and the global environmental class to its peaks in advanced crocs 24 the growth limits don't production being food innovation excessive consumption it's no longer sustainable the foundation change to reduce direction the record oil and natural gas export and noticeable recoverable weather of generation the rushing extra major transition agricultural activities on data centers building space cryptocurrency operations transmission lives with all emission to work a ton of carbon sulfur digital energy after we'll go there thinking about the collapse of civilization 3 is DMU Herbert 24 the one stop never exchange growth humanity is a web and extinction interest plenty of marches and common change biodiversity classic solution the related growth there launch of energy currents the place gains of future growth utility for marginal utility increase environmental social harms go rapidly more utility could use for the economic economies everything causing more harm than good the all united global fight against collapse of BLM strikes climate disaster market instability provided widespread anti-collapse sentiments the all provides an organizational framework and ideological direction for revolutionaries to take over and tear collapse apart at the seams as Peterson that solves the case non-tradition breaks the escalatory drive in favor of democratic consensus building and distributing funds to social programs solving the root cause of war while still maintaining a good enough military that some more evidence requires just a strong military leaders adversaries which alternative does to naturalizing startups and arms production to identically to the plan but never say that central planning can't solve not a pick no link we don't link to that yes support we read a card saying that there's massive support globally now and naturalization solves the rest of the card because it's a government enacted system that has checks and balances no balancing Europeans we're not a cave NATO whatsoever the rest of the bliss at the bottom we're all done above we do have external scenarios our cards about militarized foreign policy generally which can spark wars with any adversary epistemic fiat we get it what is no link we're not utopian or epistemic we don't feel mindset shift as per above because there's already sentiments that's proven by when is the evidence tensions are already on the high now to its best policy failing past identical barriers just by lack of political will is utopian as per their inherency arguments proves that it's always been about desirability not feasibility which means we get to fiat the mechanism of the all three is arbitrariness they said non-residual is bad one future so they don't get it both ways fourth is no offense solves the evidence and that benefits check abuse advantage. The contention doesn't take out the cap or the card that they conceded is about public markets now, not about an entirely fiated mechanism where we nationalize markets and have an entirely new mechanism. There's no Russian war, military balance and power stable. Tensions are exaggerated, no posture points of offensive use as commission. Both sides will choose to de-escalate because Putin isn't suicidal. Even if the DIB is low now, the US still has thousands of nukes. We can immediately shoot them. Which years Russian escalation, first strike stalls, plus 18 US, Cuban Russian nukes and fact that under PGS, under 60 minutes, Russia on pole position, 88 WR, they can contemplate the Russian bomber, could do keep executing the substituting before launch, Russia force again, pick up by vessels carried by planes, if also ICBM think they're military types of Russia. Arsenal is vulnerable to US can effective agents can shoot out ICBM 73 40 warships in 2018 in 2008 one destroyed satellite out of orbit no Russia escalation quicker 23 that's having all black forces over Australia black Coast Republic Republic tolerating Russia's black space with couple of escalation it can lead to full scale defeat and Putin their war NATO 11 nuke war will be far too risky there's a wicked patient taking Russia's red line that consequence over cross also talking about Russian retaliation the rest of any goal documents with the public challenge presence of the escalation Putin's powers limitations Russia is a revisionist Putin has explicitly said he has no intention of expanding beyond Ukraine. Official documents say Russian leaders are more open to cooperation, negotiations, and agreement that's luxuries. Russia demonstrates characteristics of declining power. Marshall Curtis, the Russia to be smaller report, able to convert decline power. The old equipment development report leadership proves now followed by Ukraine costs significantly more than 100,000 cases counted more than 1 year that it could a decade in Afghanistan. The North economy turned on oil gas restricting under pressure of sanctions. Now go back to the critique. American contracting outsources war reliance on private entry, normalizes and global supply creating a free market force. Big Fate 19 war relies on American circle. American contracts are seeking cover the rest of the for every soldier. There's at least one country over 50% structure the first of the impact around the world country from American war trends in trends indicate the US may outsource 90% of wars the US outsourcing the lowest market that's fine the outsources to start their private companies protection for the US and actual rules of body legitimacy to reach generation for armies that American companies respect industry creating some contracts supply can generate demand overutilization of contracts and as a free market for war sets delta investment in private war for foreign helps UK's entire budget the US is growing dependent on the private sector for staying wars and lots of contracts come as international trade the US marshal the global labor pool for mercenaries that set a new market launch of the wars other repeating the American model they emerge from Russia Uganda Iraq and Afghanistan Colombia the US legitimized mercenaries can the US never should not use troops in Syria knows because we are bringing over that all guys who use muscle coaches that wage talks more genes and gorillas in for any reason.
Good for cross-sec?
Yeah.
Explain thermodynamics.
Yeah, so the dollar card says that the first law of thermodynamics says that every action must increase entropy. So once you reach a certain point in capitalist production, we've passed a critical tipping point in where that entropy can reach. And then the Cox card below that says that we reach critical resource.
How do you know that the Earth has an entropy boundary?
Well, no, it's like there's like a resource boundary for sure. The Cox card says that things like oil.
That doesn't seem to be the same thing. Entropy and resources.
It's like, well, that's contextualized by the Cox card below, which says that increases in entropy, increases in production is bad because we've hit peak sand, peak oil, peak fossil fuels, peak.
Which means what?
Which means that we can't continue capitalist production any longer because those things are necessary for capitalism to function.
What does it mean to hit a peak of something?
Like we're literally gonna run out.
What?
We're literally gonna run out.
We're gonna run out.
Yeah, like some things aren't renewable, like fossil fuels.
Okay, we have evidence that we're like decoupling now, renewables, etc. Like,
yeah, and then the UN card right below that says that green tech and things like that fail because of the law of diminishing marginal utility. So as it scales up over time, it can't be nearly enough to match the demand that capitalism requires as it continues. Because of things like overpopulation, we're gonna have like even more people to sustain, and capitalism over time will require even more production, which like we think can't match demand.
I don't understand this diminishing returns card. It seems to be in the context of like economic growth in the past and doesn't consider new tech.
No, it's like any returns from growth, i.e. tech, are diminishing. That's what it says.
Any returns from all growth.
And then the thermodynamics card above that says that green tech fails because it means like the Stevens paradox. It will always increase. Yeah, no, like the card. The card above that says that.
The Cox evidence?
No, the thermodynamics card.
The thermodynamics.
Like when it says green tech fails, that.
Okay. Sure. Your framework what is it?
Evaluate competing political imaginaries.
Competing political imaginaries. Okay, what does that mean?
It's like we get to critique core ideological assumptions behind honesty, i.e. DIB good bad.
What do we get? Do we get to weigh the F?
We get to weigh the F.
Okay. Do we get to weigh like the epistemology behind the F?
No, it's like you weigh the F, you can disprove your core assumptions, but you can't weigh the epistemology. It's like you can weigh the consequences of the F.
Okay, so we get consequences, but you get links to both consequences and epistemology.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Why is that like good, fair, reciprocal at all?
Well, because you get the entire F, cap basic, core generic. You can say cap good. You can say a bunch of other things. You get the perm, etc.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Why wouldn't the revolution just cause like famines?
Because
war?
it doesn't assume the mechanism of the alt, which is one, fiated, and two, nationalization of government.
Do you fiat the movement start or they succeed?
Succeed.
So you fiat that the
we've
movement
had cards that say that movements are already on the high now. There's a bunch of anti-capitalist support.
So, is everybody good for?
Yeah.
So, let's get into the pigeon counterplan, the scammers counterplan. 3-tier, the white solvency K, and then the Cox dissent. Pigeon can see perms, they test competition, scammers, same thing. There's no voting issue. The promise was the counterplan text, so it's not text, it's not a double term with cause. And even if question, they have not read any cards that say false promise is valid and they validated first. At worst, 3-tier concede, we mean there's no offense concede. Non-risk theory that takes out counter, counter, go to the K, counter interpretation we get. What we did, and no 2-T counterplans. First, neg flies, the topic is applies to constraint to any industry, abstract, stable mechanisms, and topic disaster scores as magnified by case selection, infinite parameter. First and last piece, multiple options are key to test the F. Second is arbitrariness, non-risk theory is unfair, now above no offense. First, Q is another case, T is S, and speed. Second is diminishing utility, adding emphases results in strategic level. Third is no offense. To get infinite perms and straight turns, forces, into counterplans. Reject the argument, the punishment for the crime. Dispose sucks. First is consensus. There is none. Second, it cannot solve. Next turns, force perms, or theory. The 2BC dictates the block. Third is logic proving the counterplan bad. Does not prove the F is good. Fourth is creativity. Having a fallback causes innovation. Force the F to carry for the character when you see. To beat generics. Fifth is flexibility. 9 teams cannot read net benefits that links to counterplans because the F will concede them. Cut.
No perf con. We didn't perf con ourselves.
No perf con. We didn't perf con ourselves.
Question.
Everything was an even.
And conda means they can't separate.
And conda means they can't separate. Violation outweighs your decision to center the categorical imperative in determining if the plan is a good idea. First is universality. Only universally applicable maxims that can be utilized without leading to a contradiction of reason or justifiable. For example, lying when universalized is morally impermissible as every person lying crushes the efficacy of a lie, as everybody else knows that the lie is a falsehood. Second is dignity of persons. Treat persons as means in and of themselves rather than as ends. That's key to protect the dignity of persons and uphold the categorical imperatives mandate of autonomy. Rights are absolute even in the face of nuclear war. Growth with AD1 nuclear war can be avoided only by virtue of some right. If exceptions to the right can be justified by managing disaster consequences, why can essentially those rights not be justified given the contest that effectively unspeakably evil such as military nuclear weapons would be used unless a source of military that would be ultimately material to guard the life of no liberal such supreme moral requires respect for the rights of military judicial action rights remain absolutely the consequential of the license house must be preferred as rational. The perpetrator sure little force only possible even the concern about consequences of guys now superseding the right to absolute can mitigate consequences that avert them altogether the absolute cannot make consequences concerns with the limits principle is not a moral difference with the one distinction between direct and oblique intentions. These are unintended side effects of the principle of action more responsible for this interventions of other actions of more bicycles. I'm okay was repeatedly told to use responsible for the rights, however, was opponents were responsible also. The probably could not be worth good. Number where savings price paid was the violation of the right to the reporting refusal, not causing responsible for deaths rather than terrorists. Who are responsible? No. So we see one, there's no link to it. The Athens conscience starts at 0%. Kant says that stealing property that's so connected to somebody's identity cannot be universalized because it's tied to the person. That is not EAP because their evidence says copyright is key for deterrence, not because tech companies love their work so much. No link. Stealing physical property validates since it's frivolous, i.e. there's only one, but IP does not, since you can just create more intellectual property, so it's still universal. Creation does not justify ownership. Neg on presumption. Cell 13 creation does not justify ownership. One can create research without first use property to use to create the island resulting in fashion sort of do not understand creation is then neither necessary or no sufficient game rights or own diversity. No, yes, we don't decrease the IP, just scope is incorrect. Deontology is an impact turn to uniqueness. Whether the plan is a good idea is a yes or no question whether or not meets the categorical imperative, not based on if it uniquely makes things worse, because that presumes the relevant consideration is consequences. Yes, it's unique anyway, the right inherency for us, and yes, link. First is universality. The plan gives contractors right to commercial technology that violates and imposing restrictions on others as a maximum universalized leads to contradiction and reason because nobody can act. Second is dignity of persons. The plan allows company X to prevent company Y from using their own resources to replicate a product, so X is asserting control over Y's autonomy and treating them as a means to X's ends. That's roster independent of these GBS must answer the deterrence link. Deterrence independently violates the categorical compared to Doyle. 10 concrete decides deterrence based on categorical compared requires human beings as ends it and healthy. Wrongful intention principle dictates wrong to intention to something wrong is wrong to use people to carry nuclear warfare. It is wrong to issue requiring warfare. Deterrence fails in institutional practices or justified only if you do not valid absolute rules of the deterrence system must treat all involved as mere means as the moral instinct out. Tolerate non-compliance deterrence reaching especially on the the are used for people to coerce and issue with the citizens became balance of the state of the great circle of our scheme each other held in all the populations. Now, also for a consequence of the fails, we must answer every warrant. First is the butterfly effect. Every action leads to a series of unexpected events while hiding the infinite events because the converse to action. Second is aggregation failure. Desires and pains are qualitatively different which makes making impossible affirming that maximize the universal planar. Fourth is a calculation model. 17, how are we supposed to calculate happiness and no check to get over the high exact happiness individuals exact even the same level of zero term of such as the same happiness not over the quarter so the consequence exists in the future. The calculated happiness when each predicts their future. The Singer evidence is wrong. Universal does not collapse util since conscious ethics is not about aggregate universal welfare but about the universal application of the maximum. They must win every warrant above. Veiled impartial observer is a swing and a miss. We solve. Universalization has us confront how maximum is fairly applied across universal context. Genocide is zero risk because it links way more to them. Util was a key principle used in slavery since the economic benefit of slave owners is calculated to outweigh the suffering of genocide. Only adopting the deontological lens forces actors to think outside of their own moral values since any other measure is subjective. Compassion obviously links hardest to them. Util justifies being super incompassionate as law. As genuine action against law, no way of voting. Moral theory should not explain degrees of wrongness. Ellis owned out in response to degrees of wrongness stands up for an act of corruption of permissions. Do not have degrees in the law, but the word is to the purpose. The word is not more fit to the purpose of the same degree, meaning the absence of purpose should not come. And degrees no permissibility. Rejected. It was a blip in the 2EC. Now, I know you don't know the implication of this argument either. Extinction outweighs from the case page. It was beaten above since it's based on a consequentialist and utilitarian lens.
Okay. 7:35. Starting now. Okay, stop prep. 49 seconds. The order is the DIB advantage, then count, then
Other cards. Other cards.
yeah, I saw.
DAV cap.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
How much time do we have left?
49. Does everyone have the cards?
Yeah, give me a second.
Good?
Wait, it was advantage DAK.
Yes.
The after revitalizes the DIB, that towards the deterrence preventing vicious aggression from Russia that goes nuclear. The first argument was first strike solves. Obviously, it doesn't. The argument is that Russia will take advantage of U.S. weakness, which means we obviously cannot predict a first strike, which means this doesn't solve. Even if our counterforcing, even if our first strike capabilities can take Russia's nukes out, we won't do it if we're not expecting an attack, which is the whole point of our scenario. The next argument was no Russian nukes. It doesn't assume the signal of collapse of the DIB because that's what leads Russia. That's what leads Russia to believe that they'll be able to escalate without being punished, which is the entire principle of deterrence for our evidence for specificity. Because we've cited Russian foreign policy and how they perceive deterrence and deterrent signals, their evidence is a vague assertion that doesn't actually say that nuclear escalation is out of the question. Russia is revisionist. The official documents is absolutely zero. We read a bunch of cards from the 1EC saying that citing meta studies and examinations of Russia's empirical behavior towards other states that says they're fundamentally geared toward expansion. The economy and foreign policy is fundamentally geared toward expanding the war in Ukraine and fighting against the West. The obviously official documents are not going to reflect that statement, which enters the card. Framework, we get epistemology.
No, go to its Kant was later down.
Okay, wait. Okay, sorry. No link to Kant. The act doesn't grant new IP. It just gives contractors more control over it. Anything else violates the categorical imperative because the C says contractors want control. IP is universalizable because of current structures like the PTO. Links are wrong. Maxim link was answered above. The dignity link is fake. It strips contractors of dignity to have their hard-earned source code stripped by the DoD. Kinsella is a cave of patents, not source code or copyright. Deterrence link is to consequences and is about nuclear deterrence, which is not the app. We're conventional. Evaluate actions through utilitarianism. It's the only thing that can explain why breaking a promise in one instance is worse than another, or why you should lie to someone who wants to kill your friend. Anything else causes genocide by valuing some lives over others. They've also dropped permissibility. Maxims can always be refined more, which collapses their theory. The Gerwig card is just talking about rights and is a claim without a warrant. The butterfly effect is wrong. Our predictions are most likely correct. Aggregation is wrong. Using body counts in genocide allows for accurate generalizations. Capitalism problem is wrong. Cross-apply all the butterfly effect stuff because it answers it. Yeah. Top level for every impact on the overview. None have causal links to extinction. 1C Gerber is vague, unwarranted. It never says any of the risks are existential and doesn't say any specific conflict that goes nuclear. Framework. We get epistemology. Epistemic silencing is a dissent. Discounting our scholarship. Sees intellectual hegemony to Russia. Focusing only on macro theories is violent because it disavows the consequences of our scholarship. That's Lewis. It's uniquely bad for Polish debaters like me who use the affirmation of the 1EC as a problem-oriented solution to the Ukraine war that solves depression and anxiety. That's Rationalov. That outweighs it. So the only thing your ballot can solve is the most proximate in-round impact. No offense, because they still get their links. Dropped artificially restrict your judging analysis to local scholarship. Anything else is a distraction that plays into Putin's hand. Means they don't get the K, which is the Bushik evidence. The Cap proverb. Cap is key to space call. Else extinction is inevitable due to compounding risks on Earth. Flips try or die. The alt decimates support for dirty energy and private innovation necessary to get off the rock. That's Kovic. Their defense is wrong. Failure locks in X-rays. Market 23. Lock in Russian catastrophes, astros, supernovas, gamma rays make extinction and supernova colonizing only red to survival. Solve sustainability. Whittington 20. The solution plan will be remove extraction off the planet. Biggest source of pollution on the planet. No no wars. That's Randall 24. Jimmy and Taurus and interstellar conflict, but travel time consuming and warfare difficult and timeless. Distances for preventing the delivering extraordinary energy, geographical barriers to deprive reasons for fighting. Cap is sustainable. A, the absolves, breeds market competition and a peaceful world order. B, innovation, advanced economies, invest in R&D. Trade allows sustainable diffusion of new tech. Proves decoupling. C, best studies incorporating interdependence. Proves the existence of the EKC. It lifts sustainability and impacts, which is the Norton evidence. Their studies are corrupted. You should prefer newest models. And thermodynamics misread science. That's Shorts 122. Lack of understanding of thermodynamics and system of the Earth source not close to the law rejected by leading on scholars that is sufficient supply of eliminated poverty and greater capacity for mitigation and adaptation. The peak score doesn't say cap will collapse, but it catalyzes the greenium which solves Manual 24. Adaptation addition profitable greenium in case markets attack lower cost or investments to competitive positions studies found the low emissions of zero access returns customers and consumers and investors companies mitigate climate change, green bond market, increase in energy efficiency, voluntary offset. The national security concerns line with climate, renewable energy, hydrogen, and potential attack of increased yield without water or chemicals. The DMU card genuinely says nothing. It lists a bunch of cap ad claims without warrants or offense. This also isn't external offense. DMU just means cap isn't effective as it used to be, which is untrue because of the work done above, and it doesn't prove it's fundamentally unsustainable. No impact of the link. The app sends a credible signal of deterrence. There's no explanation of how think tanks cause global war or expansionism. That's only something that the military can do. The Peasant and Rhodes card is old. It doesn't assume a recent Russian foreign policy that specifically says deterrence is not escalatory. That was case. The card is also about contracts and physical mercenaries, which doesn't answer it. The alt definitely does not solve. They either get rid of the DIB or they and which doesn't solve, or they don't solve contractor concerns, which is the only way to revitalize it and send a credible signal of deterrence to Russia.
602.
Getting to the wake with 20 seconds left, inserting a bunch of claims without warrants is not going to get the job done. Hold the line. The DIB cause extinction. One is arms racing. They degrade arms controls, leading to cascading proliferation, weapons stockpiling just to sell more products, heightening the risk of miscalculated intentional nuclear warfare that's Owen Swoosh infiltration profit drives contractors into assault energy plants and think tanks and government that advance aggressive foreign policy where the U.S. instigates and intervenes, creating global forever war. This martial evidence. Mishandling this ends the debate. It's a unique dissent to the plan because they said DIB is withering now, and because the alternative is unique as counterplan and is completely external to hegemony or evidence. It's explicit that weapons manufacturers are bad, not the weapons themselves are bad, plus case events, and the all takes out all the residual offense. Framework of creating polar match race is the middle ground that solves all their offense. What is their offense? Scope of their psychic bonds. That impact is zero. But they get away the adverse alternative and their epistemology that solves all their offense because the only warrant given the 1 year was that their discussion of Russian hegemony is key for Polish invaders, which they can discuss because they can weigh their app, which a framework doesn't preclude because they get to weigh it. At worst, they drop that first last speech every graph, and afterwards means Polish invaders should have just been prepared. Don't restrict the offense justice debate. They drop the capitalist imagination design, which in that terms is framing, discussing grant goes lots out there, and see to challenge capitalism and restricting it to just here breeds ethical localism, which is the anti-capitalist and their anti-Russian resistance always fails. Except that now, capitalist academia wages war on imagination by policing discussions of what's valuable, by saying only here, only local imagination, avoiding clash with more equitable organization of social life that turns their offensive skills and knowledge about anti-Russian stuff and Polish debaters we develop and debate under their to train debaters to ignore injustice, dispossession, and violence in the real world against all debaters, including Polish ones. That's McCarger. Our term solves because we get to imagine a world of the all, and they get links, doesn't solve links because we must get all to generate uniqueness for these discussions in the first place. That answers all the stuff. But again, we don't need to win for it anyway because we have a link to the plan and the all that they basically dropped. The local scholarship thing was answered of. I'm not going for the cap bad K. I'm going for the DIB bad K, which is that sustainability is relevant. I'll answer space call anyway. One has no impact. Probability of natural events causing extinction is 0.00001%. Evidence does evidence comparison itself and says that their evidence is all biased and exaggerated for clicks. For evidence that's entire lineage of human history and says empirics prove they will never cause extinction. Their card is horrible. It just asserts things that could happen without saying that they're likely whatsoever to its causes extinction. Their evidence is about aliens, not secessionism, where colonies rebuild, secede, and go rogue, creating us the mentality that sparks nuclear war. I'm not going for cap bad poverty, so sustainability is irrelevant. Only good for DIB back K. So with y'all as unique as kind of so which is totally external. I'll concede at the top that none of the impacts of cap bad have any impact, so they cannot go for sustainability as any offense because our card doesn't have warrants and doesn't have a war for extinction. Yes, impact to the link. It's not just think tanks, but DIB expansion generally causing war, and we also do have a war about think tanks causing war too, which is the card. They're high schoolers, so don't believe them over our cards. The plan questions strategic stability. This is also mishandled. Putin's confidence in military parity prevents all at war now, but the plan's sudden surge in DIB innovation makes him panic, creating user illusive pressures where Putin escapes because he feels trapped. That's Petra. It's completely external to the plan. Their enhancing evidence says Putin that Russia knows as the head of the U.S. is our uniqueness, independent of the rest of the K. You can vote next here on this in case defense. Conventional deterrence, maybe not as explored, but Gauss is about attacking troops crossing red lines. That's distinct from drastically revitalizing DIB and giving the U.S. a huge relative parity tech advantage over Russia and endangering their second track capabilities. Don't solve the case. 1 year was a blip with no warrant, so hold the line. They didn't read a card in this, so they get nothing else. One is a revolution, a natural revolution to over their capital systems by making it already high anti-capital sentiments come together. So none of that stuff is irrelevant to its naturalization. This ends the debate because it solves the entirety of the case and breaks the escalatory profit drive in favor of democratic consensus building and distributing funds to social programs, solving the root cause of war, while still maintaining a good enough military that's more. They dropped the frame issue of the truancy, and that their cards just say a strong enough military to use advertise, which the alt does through nationalizing startups and arms production, identically to the plan, but never says that central planning can't solve. Condescend. Kicking con, they dropped an independent reason to vote negative production. Creation doesn't justify ownership in the first place. Creating an item doesn't mean you are entitled to ownership because all that because there were tons of all causes. If creation doesn't just justify ownership, then the plan is just zero because there's no reason why enhancing or DIB stealing is bad. So just vote negative on presumption. Advantage. There is no attack, and Russia will not escalate. One is unique. The military tensions are decreasing, balance power, and key regions is stable, and neither side is pointing towards offensive use. Second is motive. Both sides will de-escalate, and Putin isn't suicidal. He knows any attempt to break strip will be met with thousands of nukes, irregardless of if the DIB is low. Which is that we do assume all their evidence that's corruption because he isn't suicidal, and he knows that we still have thousands of nukes, even if the DIB is still strong. 3 is impossible. Mass societal backlash is stopping Russia from expanding any further. This is another war that basically zeroes all their offense. They're barely staying alive, and Ukraine stopping motive for escalation. And any other theory because of lack of capacity. That's a quick evidence. Russia is a revisionist. One is official statements. Their posture means they're going to get the job done because Putin has gone on record to say that he doesn't want to invade or expand beyond Ukraine. And Russian leaders are more open to peace and negotiation. That's long-term evidence to its declining power. Russia is barely keeping it together, and Ukraine bad equipment, leadership, and troops coupled with Russia's economy being nuked makes it possible for them to expand. That's more evidence. I'm going back to the critique. The only way out is this Polish invaders bad stuff, which is all impact turned above because they haven't. You should use offense, defense because we still let them weigh the K in their epistemology or whatever. And but we have offense via the capitalist imagination that also turns their offense, which means that their epistemic silencing stuff is an offense. Because remember, we're also not you link, you lose. They get to weigh their epistemology, they get to weigh the app, even if the stuff in cross-6 isn't binding. So like cross-6 isn't binding, we'll just slip up. They can still weigh the app they get all of their links and stuff like that, and we sell unlimited offers.
49?
Something like that. Oh,
Can't hurt. My long.
Okay. It'll be let's see, the K, then case, then con,
May I have your attention,
then
please?
back to the K.
All ICGL Ghana students, please meet right now in Mrs. Wheeler's classroom, room 306. Also, see Ms. Smith at break to sign up for Model UN at Emory or Wamont at George Washington University in March. UGA delegates, see Ms. Smith at break or any time before leaving school today. King George, I Stover, see Ms. Smith at break. All name of delegates, see Ms. Smith Thursday or Friday and read your email.
Okay.
You did the order.
Yeah, sure. K, case, cons, back to the K. Okay, is that really? Mess up in the 2-hour by allowing us to weigh our scholarship. Epistemic silencing outweighs. VV clearly said that it outweighs because it's, quote, the only thing that your ballot can solve, and we have a psychic violence impact that not allowing VV access to fiat and the app causes, quote, depression and anxiety as per our Rockefeller evidence. It obviously outweighs because the 1 hour was not only a framework argument, but also a ballot key argument. So since the 2 hour explicitly said that we do get to weigh our epistemic offense under their framework interp, and that process was, quote, a slip up, you know that we, even under their framework interp, we can obviously weigh this as an external impact and also concede offense defense because VV made a judge instruction argument that you can only solve things that happen in this round as opposed to like macro theories of violence broadly, which means that you obviously have to default on a 1% risk of any psychic violence thing. I'll do the link here. Voting app is key because it's key to affirm a, quote, problem-oriented solution that allows Polish debaters to cope with the invasion of Ukraine and find psychological solace in fiat and imagining a solution, which our Rockefeller evidence says is specifically key. The Lewis and Bukesh evidence are also killer here. They say that the myopic focus on only on macro theories and long-term events seeds local scholarship, which is also uniquely comforting to Polish debaters as per the Lewis evidence, and it completely wrecks any type of resistance against Russia. I really don't think there's anything more that I need to do here. Case proper, presumption, all that stuff. The K doesn't matter. The framework argument obviously doesn't impact turn this because we've impact turned the notion that you should be focusing on macro theories in the first place. Their impact of focusing on macro theories was vague and some flash thing. Obviously didn't make a turn our ballot solvency argument whatsoever. So you know that even if there might be an impact broadly about education or whatever, other rounds would solve that, but only we get access to our
also
theories.
To win the dissent, they would need to win that our scholarship and understanding of Russia as Eastern Europeans is uniquely capitalist. They have not done that.
They've not won that their analysis of Russia is uniquely capitalist, so they can't win this third case. The thing that you're going to cop out on here is that our impacts are far more specific. The 2 NR's impacts were just vague assertions of forever wars and whatever. Deere didn't give you any scenario for escalation, whereas our offense is key. Putin will attack and try to expand beyond Ukraine for the Kaufman and kupillary evidence, which is far better than all of their impacts. I'll go down the line here. The first thing that they said is there are de-escalatory pressures. That's wrong. We've analyzed analysis of Russian rhetoric and behavior, which proves that they're gearing up for war and increasing readiness. Putin shifted the entire focus of his economy towards trying to expand outward into NATO countries. The second thing that they said is that there's no motive and that both sides de-escalate. Obviously wrong when Putin's been completely transforming the entire economy, and Kupillary's analysis shows that he's foregone like analysis of the LIO and other things in favor of Russian chauvinism and aggressionism, which obviously implicates that him trying to expand outward. The next thing that they say is that it's impossible because of backlash, but Putin doesn't care. Once again, he's been transforming the entire society towards trying to do this operation and insulating it from backlash, which preempting that backlash in the first place. This also isn't a warrant on my whole de-escalate. The Giles card says that if he doesn't encounter any type of pushback vis-a-vis deterrence, he'll seek to expand beyond Ukraine. Now, they say he's not revisionist. Our cards are way better than theirs. The Kupillary is the only study in this round of actual rhetoric and analyzes a meta-study of all of Putin's speeches, whereas their cards are just from one speech that he did that says he wouldn't seek expansion into 2 other countries, that doesn't forego expansion into the Baltics or other countries, and the Kaufman evidence cites empiricism all across the world and meddling in Germany, in France, and countries in Africa, which obviously proves a ton of motive. The declining power stuff, irrelevant. Maybe it's declining economically, but not militarily because of build-up, the concept. Creation is not ownership is absolutely asinine. It is ownership. VV explicitly impact termed this in the 1AR and said that creation is ownership because contractors don't want their valuable IP to fall into the hands of the government and thus other people. If you create something, you obviously own it, and we control this impact too. Also, can't vote neg on presumption on this. The only assertion was vague inherency, but we've read arguments about how contractors are losing their IP now. This needs to be impacted out a lot more. Okay. They explicitly said that this was only a K of the DIB, so I really only need to beat back this impact stuff. I'm not going to go for any of the cap good stuff. So the only thing that they said was arms racing and forever war. That's completely wrong. Our evidence says that deterrence is extremely good and stops war because if countries perceive a strong U.S., then they won't seek to go to war in the first place. All their analysis is also based on munitions and stuff, whereas the AF only shores up in contracting. There's also no scenario for where this arms racing is or forever wars would be, or where they go, or how they escalate or whatever. Whereas our evidence says that if Putin were to expand, it would obviously lead to nuclear war. Whereas forever wars would definitely stay local because of deterrence. So even if there's war in the first place, the presence of a strong U.S. would dissuade countries from trying to nuke in the first place. You can cross-apply all the strat stab arguments from defense.